Hello, folks. So there's a story in the Independent Online today, the Wednesday, the 9th of April, 2025, by a journalist, and it's titled "Trade Colonialism: How U.S. Tariffs Are Reshaping South Africa's Economic Future." Thabo Makwakwa is the author, and he interviewed a political analyst, Dr. Sandile Swana, who provided a sobering perspective on the implications of these policies and warned that Trump would not change his tariff policy. He said, all those who want to align themselves with Make America Great Again will not be equals of the United States. To be in the inner circle of the United States trade system, you must act as a satellite state, effectively a colony, and pay certain fees to be allowed to trade. Act as a satellite state? Now, where's he getting this nonsense? A colony? I'm sorry. I missed the largest states of U.S. colonial administrators. I haven't found them anywhere in South Africa. Do they live next to Julius Malema in Sandton, or perhaps Paul Mashatile in the Western Cape, and pay certain fees? Certain fees for what? I mean, what a whiny, intellectually dishonest, and ungrateful bunch of crybabies. 25 years of duty-free access to the U.S. market with zero reciprocity afforded to us, and the moment the United States asks for equal treatment, this guy lies about the nature of the trade relationship. Now, this rhetoric is echoed by a growing sentiment among South African policymakers and economists who fear that the country's current trade relationship with the U.S. places it at a disadvantage, is what he says. No, the trade relationship does not place South Africa at a disadvantage. The conduct of the African National Congress is what places you at a disadvantage. Now, Swana pointed out that despite historical ties, South Africa's bargaining power is alarmingly limited when it comes to negotiating with Trump. He says, we have nothing to bargain with, and when we talk to the United States, we cannot say, give us this, and we'll give you that. It's a question of surrendering to the United States. Well, that's untrue. All you have to do is remove the barriers, the tariffs that you have on U.S. goods, and any artificial barriers, and those are your negotiating points. South Africa can also offer to the U.S. other concessions like port and airfield access, but surrender? So what did we do, the United States, when Pretoria slapped a 75% punitive tariff on our poultry exports? And the fact that you basically bar our pork from getting in the country with your artificial barriers and unnecessary constraints. Did we surrender? No, we did not. It's a silly argument. South Africa has leverage. It just has to be willing to make concessions. Now, the implications of this dynamic extend beyond economics. Swana emphasized the urgent need for South Africa to diversify its trading partners. He said there are 1.4 billion people on the African continent. We need to ask ourselves, what can we do to trade with those people in Asia, South America, and Europe? Well, sure. Have you ever heard of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement? The AU hailed it as a major breakthrough for intra-Africa trade. As I had predicted, it is not. It's largely vaporware. Now, the U.S. is a market for everybody, he says, but we must also develop our local economies and technologies. Well, that's reasonable. He says America's military presence globally ensures trade routes are secured and disputes are settled in their favor. This reality places countries like South Africa in a precarious position as they navigate their economic strategies while facing pressure from a dominant superpower. That is an intellectually dishonest view of how and why America secures sea lanes of communication. Securing the sea lanes of communication doesn't guarantee us anything. It simply protects it for the world, like the British government did for centuries. Now we're doing it. Advocating for a shift in focus towards internal development and regional cooperation, Swana argued that South Africa should empower its people and create trade networks that do not solely rely on Western models. Well, you have trade networks that don't rely on Western models, so that's a silly comment here. The reason that I'm mentioning this whole thing here, folks, is this is an economist who is trying to frighten people and say that the United States is a threat to South Africa, when in fact South Africa is the one who's behaved poorly when it comes to trade. We have given South Africa duty-free access to our marketplace for 25 years. And the reward we get is economists in South Africa making these unfounded, bogus claims about America. It's utter nonsense. And act as a satellite state? That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You've been given a gift for 25 years, and this is how you repay us? The first time that our government actually asked for equal treatment, not even asking for superior treatment. Trump calculation, they looked at the artificial barriers, the currency manipulation, and the actual tariffs that are in place, and came up with a figure that basically means we are paying a 60% effective tariff to enter your marketplace. So he gave you a 30% tariff, half of what you charge us in essence. So I don't get this this silly commentary about you have to be a neo-colonial state. That's ridiculous. A colony. Colonies have settled populations. There is no settled population of U.S. colonial administrators in South Africa. It's a fairy tale of epic proportions. And it's a shame to see economists waste their academic credentials with this drivel. But that's what happens, folks. That's what happens. Anyway, South Africa, what say you? Are you worried about the tariffs? Well, you need to tell the ANC, get off the stick and get their act together because they're responsible for them. Cheers.